There's an update to a story that we have been following here. The father of a Parkland shooting victim has been standing outside the White House demanding a meeting with President Biden in an effort to urge action on gun violence. Joining us now is the father of the Parkland shooting victim, Joaquin Kwok Oliver, and the founder of ChangeTheRef.org, Manuel Oliver. Manuel, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And so tell us that, you're finally going to get into the White House, but there's no meeting with President Biden yet, right?
No, not yet. I was actually advised by some friends and members of Senate and Congress to go ahead and have this meeting with what we believe is the highest authority behind the fight against gun violence that is coming from the administration. So we went there, and thanks to Chris Murphy, Ted Deutsch, and Mike Taunton. These are politicians that came to talk to me about what are the options, what are they became facilitators to make this happen. So I did have the meeting. I was expecting to meet with Joe Biden. I still want to meet him. But then we went back and forward with different points that I would love to share with you guys.
Ted Deutsch, obviously the congressman of Parkland, where Parkland is. Chris Murphy, who is now a senator, but was the congressman where the Sandy Hook shooting took place. So these are political leaders who have a very intimate knowledge and experience with school shootings. What did you hear from these White House officials, Susan Rice, Senator Cushman?
So there was a lot of information about things that the administration has accomplished, and we already celebrated all of those. But I wanted to get to the point where we could bring other options, It's true that President Biden has done more than probably any other president when it comes to try to defeat gun violence. However, people still die. And that was my point yesterday inside that office. Like, I understand your intentions. This is it. That's the group that is representing the fight against gun violence. That's like the opposition of the NRA and the gun industry and the gun lobby. So I think that we should have more people involved. That's what we thought and exchanged with them. When I say we, I'm talking about Fred Gutenberg and myself. And also the call for urgency, right? Like, we really need this to happen. We were there for more than an hour, which I appreciate. But you know what? During that hour, at least 4 people were shot and died because of gun violence. So this is not about things that we have been able to do. It's about the things that we haven't been able to do, the things that we need to do right now.
And one of those things is signing legislation. And President Biden has said, he'll sign it if it comes to his desk, but there has been none passed by Congress. There's no real momentum behind any of it. So what did White House officials say to you about a push that they're going to make, if they're going to make one, when it comes to this?
Well, that's what I see as an absence of a plan against gun violence. Like, and this is my personal thought. So my only option here, if I go on the political game, is to wait for November next year, so we can have more senators in our side, and they can approve the bills and they can pass the bills. A bill won't save a life, and we can celebrate it and we can go crazy. Yes, we're getting somewhere, but we're not. We are not. So a year is 40,000 people losing their lives. And every number when it comes to gun violence is just rising. Nothing is better than before. So I need to, and I started the meeting yesterday blaming myself, because I wanted everybody to understand that this is our fault. And I didn't see that reaction of this is our fault from many of the persons that were in that meeting. I think that we need to start blaming ourselves because of what's happening.
Manuel, I know that this has obviously been very close to your heart. You stood outside the White House for several days saying that you would stay there throughout Christmas if you needed to. I know you said that Christmas has not been the same, of course, since you lost your son, and we're very sorry for that, and we'll be thinking of you over the holidays.
Yeah, you know what? That's not a sacrifice. If you consider that my son was shot 4 times, he was still alive when he was shot again twice. That's a sacrifice. That's pain. And I want to make this very clear. We have been discussing, debating this, which is not undebatable. This shouldn't be a debate behind if we agree or not that innocent people should die just because of no reason at all, and we can live a normal life with that. From now on, Manuel Oliver, the followers of Manuel, the followers of Joaquin, the people that, the universe that is fighting against gun violence will show zero tolerance. And if the administration is not making that call, which we asked yesterday that we needed President Biden to create, to declare war to gun violence during the speech at the State of the Union. However, if he doesn't, we will. Not me by myself. Everyone that is listening to me right now, they know that we had enough. And we're going to make this happen. And the kids are with us. Zero tolerance to gun violence starts now. And we will go from every single angle. This is not about owning a gun or not. You are not the center of the universe, Mr. Gun Owner. This is about people dying.
Manuel Oliver, we appreciate everything you've done. It breaks my heart a little bit to hear you blame yourself for action not happening, but I understand what you're saying. Everyone should be blaming themselves right now. Thank you so much for being with you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great day.